What is up, Smite fans? Happy to be back, happy to be here, and welcome to the 9-2 update show, The Destroyer.
Oh, and they're immediately echoing.
How are y'all doing?
Doing great, doing great.
Very excited for this one.
So
as I am for all of them.
Yeah, excited for all of them.
Hey, they
This one
fixed
has
it quick,
a special
though.
place in our heart for sure.
No, they didn't.
So yeah,
It's still
there's
echoing.
so many things to go over
Bad.
today. We have community news, a bunch of great skins. We have Shiva we're gonna talk about. So we're just gonna get into it. We're just gonna get right into it.
Is that what we're doing? We're talking about Shiva today?
Yeah, I think we might as well. You know, I mean, I feel like some people want to hear about him. So sure, why not?
All right.
That's a pretty exciting one.
Oh yeah, super
Oh,
exciting.
wait.
So, but first, we have a lot of other stuff to go through. So let's start with the 9-1 balance. This is going to be live February 8th with the 9.1 bonus update. So let's get into it.
Somebody's using a speaker.
Looks like Sundering Siphon is starting out with
This is so rough, dude. This is so rough to
So
listen to
obviously we've got the
already.
new season that has just begun. We've got the relic upgrades, the start, the starts
What's up,
to
Kay?
conquest. We've got the glyph systems, and we're going to be iterating upon that a lot throughout the entire year. But we are going to be focusing a little bit on that for the bonus balance, as well as the top performing gods. So Sundering Siphon, that was actually just a relic that could have used a nerf, but actually there's going to be more of a bug fix situation here. We realized that we're looking into a little bit more that Sundering Siphon was doing a little bit more damage than we intended, than it's even described. So this is more so fixing an issue with the item to make it do what we expect it to be doing.
Nothing wrong with that. Everything's already so crazy.
Yay, last echo!
So next up we have Chaotic Beads getting a nerf, it looks like, as well. What's happening with that, Lermy?
Yeah, so for this item, there were a lot of concerns
Do you think so?
but we still figured
No echo, at least.
good even still, so we are changing it to have current health damage instead of max health damage, so now this relic can no longer kill you, which is great. It's really nice to be able to still use to reflect back on your enemies, but now you're not going to get popped in the head by it. Additionally, this also did crew damage, which was very good.
Too funny.
And now we're going to be changing it to magic damage, so there will be mitigations involved with it now. So not only can it not kill you, it will theoretically be doing a little bit less than before, because it's also getting through those mitigations.
Now I'm gonna focus
that makes a lot of sense. That
now
that
we've had
instant
our
bonk
giggles.
was kind of hard to deal with. So next up, we have kind of a grouping of changes. It looks like Cloak, Cloak of Meditation, Greater Cloak of Meditation, Cloak of the Ascetic, and Cloak of the Avatar, all kind of getting a little bit of a nerf. So
they are nerfing them.
So we did the
Pretty
soft
hard as
meditation
well.
rework towards the end of last
Pretty
season.
hard
And it was
nerf.
pretty exciting. We saw meditation getting a lot more play. It became from this meme relic to something that people actually wanted to
Pretty
pick and
hard
probably even
nerf,
favor over
yeah.
other relics like Shell. So when we went into the relic upgrades, they're all still pretty strong, and we didn't factor into the fact that meditation was pretty strong at the end of last season. So this is kind of addressing that meditation with the upgrades, and even without them, are just as strong relics to begin with. So we're going to be toning all of them down together, as you can see, really just hitting the health and missing a health per tick. And obviously the mana is going to be coming in parity too. So hopefully you're going to see a little bit more exploration with other relics that can be used. Definitely play around with them. There's a lot of fun ones there.
There was a little echo back for sure.
I played a lot since 9.1 release, and I feel like I still haven't gotten a good grasp on all of them yet. Just so many situations that you can play into. So next up we have Warrior's Axe,
That's
also
fine,
getting
on
a
a
nerf,
meditation.
it looks like.
Ooh.
Why we dulling the axe, Lermy?
So we've been keeping a very close eye on solo lane. For
Another
the past
left
couple of
out.
patches, but one
Another
thing that
left
we've
tap.
noticed is that Warrior's Axe seems to just be the starter item to get in solo lane. And we want to see a little bit more diversity. Last patch we gave Bluestone a little bit of a buff, and in previous patches we've had other starter items kind of show up in little bits and pieces as well. But we're hoping that by nerfing Warrior's Axe and up next Sundering Axe as well, that we'll start to see a little bit more diversity there in the starter items, that not every single person is going to be locked into getting Warrior's Axe and feeling like they can't really fight very much. Especially because one of the biggest things that brings Warrior's Axe so much goodness in the solo lane is that little bit of sustain and health steal. Just having that
and on
plus
the
the bit of
Sundering Axe
damage
as well.
is really, really nice. So we just want to make sure that you're not getting too much sustain, too much extra damage.
They've been hitting the axe a lot lately, man.
Just a little bit.
There are
as well as
other
reducing
items in the solo lane that are viable.
Reducing the
Sigil's kind of
frequency
cool.
of that happening
Bluestone's
on
kind of
Sundering
cool.
Axe as well.
So
Yeah, awesome.
there's other good
Axes,
things.
but,
There's other good things.
I'm a Bluestone fan. I like the shiny rock, so I'm all about it.
We've got some fun stuff for Bluestone as well later on. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. All right, so the last item in the bonus balance is going to be the Crusher, also getting a nerf to be a little less crushy. So what's going on there, Clumsy?
Yeah, Crusher's just been a kind of a catch-all for all physical DPS gods. It's a well-deserved nerf, I think, for the hunters as well as the junglers. Everyone's kind of picking this up. It's an extremely popular item.
It's a small ad at the auto attacker.
Hitting it a little bit at a time. As you can see, kind of the idea with starting off the season is just making sure we're aware of where the strengths are. You're going to see some god nerfs coming in, little bits at a time for most of these.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, this is the wildest time of the year. So many new things happening. We just figure out what's going on. Cool. Well, that does it for items in the 9-1 bonus balance. Again,
so pretty small on the item change for bonus. It's just bonus balance.
Well. But starting with Achilles, looks like the shield of Achilles is actually getting maybe a little bit of a nerf. So what's happening there, Lermy?
Interesting.
Yeah, so
that Achilles is
one of those gods that has seen a lot of that top end of solo lane play. He's got a really good time in lane, especially going into the later stages of the game. That execute is just wild, man. But we're not trying to really harping on that execute in the late game. Rather, Shield of Achilles in the late game has won. So we're just going to be taking down the physical power scaling a little bit. So you solo laners that love to build power, you're going to be doing a little bit less than that. And also remember that this is also affecting that outer range of the cone as well. So
yeah,
before it used to be about 72% scaling wise, but now it's going down to, I think, around 68%. So just keep that in mind. If you want to keep doing damage, you have to be close to people, get them in the inner cone, and you'll still be hitting hard, but not as hard.
Sounds good. Achilles is scary, so fair. Except for Candy Shop Achilles.
That's not the end-all be-all. Not the end-all be-all.
All right, so next up we have Bastet getting, looks like a bit of a nerf as well. Night Stalker is getting touched on some stats, and then Huntress of Bast. So what's happening there, Clumsy?
There's the nerf that we're looking for.
For Bastet.
There we
patch
go.
Back to back. Okay, we hear you guys.
Cat.
Bastet in the rework is definitely quite strong, and there's a lot of different things to break down and assess with Bastet. We are going to be hitting the new components, the Night Stalker, the passive, as well as Huntress of Bast again.
Wow.
But that's not to say that we haven't heard you guys talking about how the rest of the kit is really strong with these new components in play. So we're going to be touching what we think are the strong points for now, and going to keep an eye on the rest of her kit as
There's
a
a lot of numbers.
If we need to nerf other aspects of her, if we need to do a fourth nerf and a fourth patch in a row, we will continue to look at that.
That's a lot of text.
It's all about making it feel good and making scary.
As far as I'm concerned, it all says make kitty cat less kitty cat.
Cool. So next up we have Kanzadz, which always hurts my feelings because I love Kanzadz.
That's actually more Bastet Nerf.
Devour and Bat Out of Hell being taken down a notch. What's happening with
that? It's actually more Bastet.
Yeah, we did nerf Kanzadz a little bit earlier, and of course he is going to get affected by the solo lane change, a little bit of the Crusher change as well. He's kind of in that really nice spot.
How does she get more quiet the more that she talks?
He can be a jungler or a solo laner. But we just want to kind of decrease his safety a little bit.
Turn up her mic.
That Devour and that Bat Out of Hell a little bit less often will make it so that he can't really.
That's a pretty strong Bat Out of Hell nerf. 20 seconds.
You want to call it out of any ganks.
20 seconds is a lot.
Because really, I'm rolling up to the solo lane. There's a Kanzadz there. If he has Bat Out of Hell,
2 seconds on Devour too. That's also a lot.
If you're able to force that Bat Out of Hell in lane, well, now your jungler
That's
can
a lot.
show up, and that Kanzadz is as good as dead. Send him back to hell, because he's probably going to be going there after these nerfs.
Probably. It's what a shame. I loved playing Muscle Bird and scoring the kill, eating a hamburger, and I don't know, taking Totemuku. So, yeah. Guess I'll just have to find another plan until he comes back from hell. So, next up, Fenrir getting a nerf as well. Ragnarok just having some cooldown bumps, I guess.
And
so
brutalized, right?
Yeah, so Fenrir is one of those gods that, obviously he's an assassin, but is that obvious? Because we're seeing him played as a guardian in the duo lane role more often than not. Ragnarok as the ultimate cooldown is something that we think has been really primarily allowing him to do so, because if you can grab them on the duo laner, if you can come in as a guardian with a lot of health and protections every 90 seconds, well, now you're gonna have 10 seconds off of that, or 10 seconds.
I'll take the 10-second nerf.
There may be other issues with Ragnarok, there may be other issues with Fenrir, but we're gonna be hitting again lightly at a time, and we're just focusing on the ultimate cooldown for now.
That's not gonna do it.
Very equal. We're nerfing Scary Cat a little bit. Got to nerf Scary Dog a little bit too.
That was the reason why.
that was it, just for fairness. So next up, Gilgamesh also getting a little bit of a nerf. Dropkick and Heroes Advance having little changes made to him. What's going on?
How many times has
so we've
been
seen some warriors flex into the jungle recently, and Gilgamesh was definitely one of them. So we want to make sure that we're addressing a little bit more of his damage, not so much his survivability, his CC ability, but we just want to make sure that he is staying in solo. That's kind of where we imagine him being We appreciate the flexibility of characters like this going into the jungle, but we're thinking it's a little bit too good, so taking some damage off of that drop kick, off of Hera's
7
advance is
times.
going to just make it a little bit less
To be fair,
damaging,
Gogo's
and a little
still
bit more
very
focused
strong.
on the CC, the buffs, etc. that it gives Gilgamesh.
He's still strong.
And again, a lot of these god changes, a lot of these item changes are coming off of the strengths of these characters from the last season, but also seeing how they persist to continue to be strong at the beginning of this season. So if you're seeing these ones on here, it's because they're still quite strong.
Yeah, I mean, with all the item changes, the brand new relics, it's shined a whole new light on the battleground. So there's some strengths coming out that we couldn't even anticipate with all the play testing and trials. So lots of learning with the new season. Izanami up next, getting a nerf. Spectral Projection, getting some power scaling reduction. Why is that happening?
Yeah, that continues to go right with the messaging we just mentioned. Izanami is actually one of those hunters who has been doing quite well. You know, whether it's the lane clear, the automation in effect, even with the crit changes, which people could be saying that the hunters are actually doing better now, even though the multipliers decrease. Izanami is the one that's outshining even the other hunters. You might notice in your casual games, even if you don't want to admit that she's actually quite strong and ranked as well, we're gonna be toning down her pressure a little bit with Spectral Projection, and then seeing how she lands up from there.
Sounds good to me. Another scary person. So
that's the theme.
It is the theme. It works well. The final god
is weak already. Why nerf more?
Section here is Mulan,
friend.
And another nerf.
This
Spear
is so
thrust is having the
for
base damage decreased a little bit. So why the dull spear there, Lermy?
Well, we finally made it, chat. We made it so that Mulan is so OP that she needs to get nerfed. No, I'm kidding. She's really not that OP, but we do want to make sure we see your frustration with this character.
Mulan actually dropped down in effectiveness quite a lot.
She's very popular, which is awesome. We love to see these characters get their time in the sun. But
she can be frustrating
also,
to play against,
we understand that her having so many abilities, having that extra sustain, that can be a little frustrating. So we want to take down that damage on Spear Thrust, which is her main source of damage, just a tinge to help you guys a little bit with
That's actually probably fine for her
to get herself.
Yeah, and remember that you only see a little bit of the base damage early on. Well, once you get that ranked up and leveled up, you get 2 hits of Spear Thrust, right? So you're effectively getting double the nerf if you're ranking up and trading up that ability.
Yeah, it does make it a lot less enticing to level up the Spear Thrust first compared to her first build.
I totally see where it comes from. So that actually does it for the balance section for the bonus update in 9.1. Again, that'll be coming out February 8th, and we do have the bonus balance or the bonus update note blog out. So if you want to see anything, if you missed something, make sure to go check that out. But we have some bonus skins to get into as well that we're excited to show off, starting with Xeno Weaver Arachne. Let's check that out.
An Arachne skin. Wow, that's cool.
Wow,
that's cool.
Look at her. She's so
Yo, Arachne is sick right now.
There. Oh no.
She's secretly very strong.
Is that the Vulcan or?
Oh, don't say that. Poor Vulcan.
Really strong with that Jotun's Runeforge combo.
Oh, she's even creepier in game. Oh my
Excellent.
goodness.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Nailed it on that skin. Nailed it.
Pulsing green is so freaky.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear what the voice line sounds like.
This planet's life form
sounds like every other skin in the game.
And
for sure.
This shall be an easy conquest.
For sure.
Get it?
Conquest? So.
Right, conquest. This shall be an easy. I play arena only.
Hey, it works out though. She's like one of the best gods in conquest in the game, according to the stats.
This will be an easy slash.
That does not surprise me.
Dude, this is gonna be an easy cleage. So.
Oh no.
Awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Oh my gosh, that's horrifying.
So
the next skin up is Malware Mercenary Osiris.
Nice.
Oh, I love his like helmet mask. That is sick.
That's so cool. And the like dread cables, those are great.
Yes.
Yeah. I also love just like the see-through armor plating. Like that orange is so.
Oh, is that his passive?
Vibrant.
Is that gonna be his passive? Oh my gosh.
Oh, true. That's a very good point.
You're
so you're gonna see that throughout the rest of his model as well.
Oh my gosh,
awesome.
his arms get transparent.
Nice.
Oh, look at that.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Excellent.
I don't know. I love
2 great skins in a row.
Oh my god.
Right.
That's a big axe.
That is a big axe. That's awesome.
Nice.
Let's hear the voice line.
My duty is to protect and kill all who stand in my way.
Okay.
Oh my
gosh.
That's
God.
good.
He's
I actually got a bit confused. I was like, protect. Oh, did we repeat?
Protect.
Oh, there we go.
That's so great. Yeah, so this skin and Xenoweaver Arachne are both going to be part of the Dharmic Era event, so those will be dropping on February 8th. And then we have one more very important skin to show off. A little ditty we call Hot Diggity Odin.
Oh my goodness, it's time.
hot
Oh,
dog
there
on.
he is.
Look
I
at him.
refuse.
Oh my. Yeah, the Vulcan as well.
He's literally cooking other hot dogs.
It's
This skin is horrifying.
You hear we're doing it.
He's
and
a
you're just,
hot dog
you're kind of
cooking and eating hot dogs. He's a
But
cannibal
you know
hot
what?
dog.
You still want to play it at the end of the day. Like,
Got
look
the,
at that.
got the
This
mustache
skin is
relish.
horrifying.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, he kind of has like the chibi facial expressions almost. Oh, that is so good. Let's hear the voice line.
Isn't it a great day for a cookout? I'm ready to get wild!
Gosh, I hope he is.
You already look wild, dude.
So is
It's
he part
so
of the cookout?
something.
Like, or
Never
is he making
ask
one?
how
I
the
don't know.
sausage gets
What's
made,
happening?
man.
He has a little friend up there.
Never
That's
ask.
great, though. So yeah, this
That's
will be
so cute.
this will be on the Hot Diggity chest, but you can't look at something like this and not see it live and in action. So let's check this out in game.
Oh.
There he is. There's the boy.
God, I hate it so
that screen
much.
changed, and he was looking into my
I
soul.
literally hate it so much.
Can we get my his little friend? Is that a
Little
friend?
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's flopping around too. Oh
That's
my
so-
goodness.
Yeah, look at how happy he is.
That's phenomenal.
That is so
oh,
good.
Man.
And he's gonna be chucking this at people, right? Like that's just what Odin does.
Yeah.
Well, first he's gonna be
So
smacking around
fun.
people with it.
He's gonna be serving up lunch or dinner or whatever.
It just
Oh, look at that!
it
He's
just
got
makes
the
me so
mustard.
uncomfortable.
The
He's got
condiments.
this.
I love
Oh,
me
the
a
text
troll
are
skin
sweet.
in Smite,
Odin's just got lost in the sauce.
but even for me, it's too
Yeah,
much.
that's right, the
It's
passive.
too
Oh my
much.
god, that's so good.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh, the bottles. I love every bit of this.
I'm still like mind blown.
Are you ready for the cage though? That's the question.
I haven't seen this. I've only
oh.
seen a little bit about, but I
Me
haven't seen
neither.
it at all.
I haven't seen it either.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
grill.
He's
It's
grilling
a
it.
grill. That's
grilling.
actually amazing.
That
I
is
love
so good.
The ulti was good. The ulti was good, Teddy.
And all
It's
of
a
the,
giant
like,
grill.
barbecue
That's pretty
forks,
good.
It's awesome.
That's pretty
I do hear that
good.
he also has a special emote. Should we check that out?
Oh, I would love to.
There he goes.
What is this?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah, that is the one.
I don't
Not gonna
know
troll
what
that
this
lane with
means,
that or anything.
But this skin
okay,
is so
well, I don't
cursed.
think my heart was ready even a little bit for that. So
It's
again,
so
that's Hot Diggity
cursed.
Odin, part of the Hot Diggity chest, and all of that, including balance, will be coming out February 8th with the 9-1 bonus balance. So looking forward to that.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not getting
Absolutely.
dominated.
Or not, dude.
All right, so next up we have, my heart's just not ready. We have community news and lots of cool stuff to talk about. One of the first things I want to come out and say is we are so excited to welcome our new group of 2022 Olympians to the stage. We just recently elected them and announced them, so before you hear is our cast of new Olympians. They are absolutely amazing,
who's
and we are so
court?
excited to work with them in 2022. The Olympians have always been a pivotal part of how we connect and communicate with the community, and I just couldn't be more excited to help watch the Smite community grow with our efforts combined this year in 2022. So again, if you have anything you need to reach out about, hit up your Olympians. They are amazing. They help with everything always. And so if you see them on Twitter, make sure to drop a follow. They're just great people, and they're going to help us make Smite the best game it can be in 2022.
Olympians.
Next up, I want to remind y'all that the Hellfire Syndicate Battle Pass is still going hard. So make sure that y'all are grinding levels and knocking this out, earning these awesome skins, getting to that Thanatos skin, so you get that white jacket and the dominance.
It's a little bit general, but it's pretty.
And
it's fine.
It's so pretty. So, and that Poseidon Kraken, I just can't not be enamored by it. So make sure y'all are grinding those levels up and continuing to progress through the Hellfire Syndicate. And finally, I want to let y'all know that we are currently in the Lunar New Year first one of the day event. It's currently going strong right now.
Woo!
So make sure y'all get a first one of the day anytime between now and next Monday to earn yourself a free Lunar New Year avatar. It's an awesome looking avatar. I absolutely love it.
It is actually a pretty cool
and all you
avatar.
got to do is get a first one of the day. So find your game mode and jump in. So next up, we have some SPL news, which I'm excited to share. So there's an update for free agency. It has currently ended, actually, for the SPL, and the rosters will be announced soon. So keep your eyes open for those of y'all who are just waiting for SPL to come back around. Next week will be when those are announced, and yeah, just keep your eyes open and get hyped to see rosters. And then there's also a play-in tournament that is happening February 16th through 20th. And it's a double elimination play-in tournament. You'll watch 10 teams battle it out for 2 coveted spots in the Smite Pro League.
So they accepted
keep your eyes out for information
teams?
on that as well. Obviously, we'll continue to send updates.
They accepted 6 teams, and then 10 teams
a couple weeks from now,
have
and it's
to
going
battle
to be
it out.
Exciting and action-packed. So make sure that y'all are stocking up on popcorn and drinks so that you don't have to leave your couch for
it's kind of cool. There's a play-in opportunity. That's neato.
So last but not least, a little bit of merch news I want to go over. We have the Danzaburo plushie, and I know I've talked about this before. I've ranted about it on Twitter a little bit, but this little dude's adorable. He's huggable and fluffy, and only a little bit mischievous. Only a little bit. So I
do like the idea of there being a play-in, though. That's cool.
So grab yourself one of these. They are available now, and just worth picking up, worth going to
be fair, because they kicked out all the orgs from Smite, there's no reason not to do a play-in, because there's no organizations to piss off.
Awesome. Lots of good
stuff
going on.
They already pissed them off. They're already gone.
Olympians. I'm excited for SPL making its way back, and I just couldn't be happier. So next up, we're going to have get into some more 9.2 stuff, but that'll be right after this.
Right after this. No, about that.
The Scarlet Krakens don't fear anyone or anything.
Up to no good, are we?
Nothing like a little jaunt round town to get the blood flowing.
You're Chimpita.
Funny enough, the Devil Punk Dodgy is a recolor, and I honestly think it's my favorite out of all of them, which is hilarious.
Whew, that's a hot video. And not only because they're the Hellfire Syndicate, but because it also has awesome music and is full of cool people. So, welcome.
I'm just getting myself centered on screen. It's good. Let's go. What are we talking about?
Wait,
Something looks different about this.
What's happening? What are you doing, you fool? It's still technically an Ama hoodie.
There's actually Ama AJ.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It is. That's pretty clever.
You haven't seen this one before?
No, I have, but I haven't seen it on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Pretty good.
It was on a show before, I believe. At least one show, or maybe some other like different content.
It wasn't a show that I was on.
AMA wearing Ajax, wearing AMA, wearing Ajax, wearing AMA.
All right, cool. Welcome back. We now have AJ here wearing a hoodie that has AJ, and I'm trusting AJ. So cool. And we're gonna dive right into some of the stuff you can expect with 9.2, starting with some quality of life changes. So let's just start with some of the general changes. Looks like there's going to be some highlighted text for Tier 2 relics that are getting some quality of life there. What's happening with that, Ajax?
Yeah, so we did that for the relic upgrades, but we didn't do it on this tier because the only change is the cooldown, but people still really like to have that called out. So now you're going to have that highlighted text on the cooldown. So it's a relatively small highlighted section, but at least it will be clear there so you can see when I get my free relic to when I upgrade to the tier 2, what changes. It gets the cooldown bonus. So when I upgrade it again, you'll see the larger.
Now let me just click on my relic and upgrade it instead of having to click 9 times.
I mean, always handy.
That's the bigger quality of life that we all want.
So the next little bit of quality of life actually has to do with esports and the live streaming hub for Season 9, with some viewer store stuff and some match and voting stuff. So in the viewer store, it looks like we're going to have continue to rotate legacy skins, which will cost 75,000 viewer points each, and a variation of cosmetics as well. That'll be 10k each, and we will also have a viewer pass, but we'll get into talking about that a little later. Another change with that is match voting in esports. So we're actually having a functionality added to the system that allows for voting on matches that are involved with teams from the SCC. So you should see some more involvement in that. And if y'all have anything y'all want to add to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we already did message this, but it cannot hurt to remind people that the points reset will be in the 9.2 patch. So on the day that 9.2
your viewer points are resetting, folks.
That's where your viewer points will be reset to 75k.
They're resetting.
That'll leave you just enough to buy another skin and the new update.
You're gonna have to come back and hang out with Incon again.
Faster rotating of the skins here.
The worst case scenario.
Approaching the reset. So if you haven't found anything you want to get yet with those points and you're worried about spending them before time runs out, keep an eye on the store. It's going to update more frequently in these next few weeks. And then, yeah, once you see on 9.2 come out, you will see the viewer store working mostly as you're used to it now, but there will be a new viewer pass skin, a new chase skin, and a new rotation plan. So keep an eye out for that. And the viewer pass skin is one you're going to want to get. So you're going to be getting those double points all year because you're just going to have that skin.
There's no way you won't. We'll have this. We'll have the skin that we're going to show off later. So now here we are talking about this is the welcome pass actually. So AJ, if you want to take this away, we're adding a new feature called welcome pass. So go for it.
Yeah, this Cerberus recolor here that we're looking at is part of the new welcome pass. This is a new feature designed for new players, and the goal here is to reward players for every match they play Smite when they first start playing Smite. This is going to give them some new types of things they can use when they're getting started on their journey, like boosters to help them, increase their worshippers, or to look at how they just kind of learn how the parts of the game work, right? We want them to see about, okay, this is experience. This is what matters for your level. And of course, we want them to see what it's like to have a god skin. So these are going to be exclusive skins that you can only earn by unlocking them through this welcome pass. There's going to be 20 levels. Every match you play, you will level up a level and unlock a reward. Now, of course, I'm sure, as many people out there are wondering, is what about us that have been playing the game for a long time? Everybody who is playing Smite will have access to the welcome pass on the day that 9.2 update goes live. Cool. Doesn't matter if you've been playing Smite for 10 years or if it's your first day, you will be able to play through the welcome pass. The unique thing with the welcome pass is that it has a unique timer for everybody. So in the time you log in, that's when your welcome pass will start. You'll have 30 days to complete it. So if you do log in on 9.2, you don't play very many games, you don't come back for a while, you might miss out on the welcome pass. So, but all new accounts that get created, they will kind of by default, they will see this welcome pass when they load into the game. There will also be some new UI callouts to help
incentivizing new players to keep playing the game.
Like
I mean, that's
tab and other things
good.
like that. As
it's good for the healthiness of Smite.
And we just trying to create more smooth entry for new players into the game.
Yeah, and that's super, super exciting, glad to have, we love creating things that benefit all of our players, from the veterans to the new players, and it's exciting to be able to add kind of this, like you said, this startup for people who are just brand new to Smite and kind of learning what it feels like to be part of this community. So to kind of allow them the opportunity to see some of the stuff that we do a little more intimately, and to help reward them for coming in, for joining us, and we love having them here. I just think it's super cool. I'm excited to see this.
It's hard to get MOBA players to stick,
for sure.
So
and it's got
anything to help people stick around and continue playing the game.
So we're adding a new feature to the welcome pass where you'll actually be able to get a reward that lets you pick any one god in the entire game you want for free, which is kind of something we've always wanted to do. We had like a level up reward where you could pick from 3 random gods, but this will actually let players pick any god they want for free, which we think is a good way to get players really enjoying the game, is let them play a god they want for free. We also are going to be doing major updates to the end of match lobby to go along with this. One of the things, feedback we've always gotten with the end of match lobby is that when you get all of your unlocks, or your acquisitions as we often call them, there's a pop-up that gives you a list of what they all are and where they came from. But once you click through this, it disappears. So actually, we're building this more into the end of match lobby flow to have a better user experience for the whole thing. So you'll be able to look at that longer, take your time at it, read it more specifically, especially for new players. If you want to click through it, you can. If you want to re-queue, you can re-queue from that screen. You won't even have to click through it. You can hit the re-queue. For those people who get frustrated at us because they see that clock ticking down 3, 2, 1 for the next queue, and they don't want to even learn about that amazing skin they just unlocked, which is crazy, but I understand. You can just queue right through it. But players who are more curious about where the rewards are coming from and what they are will be able to look at it. Also, it will save it as a permanent tab. So if you do click through it, you go to your end of match lobby, you see your god dancing in victory, you'll be able to toggle back to the new rewards tab to see what you earned from that match and where it came from. So just some quality of life there, and making things a little bit more clear on how you unlock things in Smite, and just making sure people can appreciate all the cool stuff they're unlocking instead of just clicking through it really quick, and once it's gone, it's gone.
Sounds good.
Very excited. The UI team and design team have been working really hard on this one, and I think it looks great.
Super awesome. That's great. And it looks like the last piece of quality of life change that we're going to be talking about here is some new player experience adjustments and fixes. So stuff like bots and co-op and conquest auto build. So I mean, what changes are being made there?
Yeah, we essentially just had some bugs we had an issue in the new season, which is, you know, with changing so many items, we can kind of throw the auto buy system out of whack. So it's a difficult time for that. But we had some bugs where bots were not buying items as intended, and new players were often not buying starter items or getting the right conquest builds. Right. They were just getting like non-conquest builds. So fixing the auto buy, you know, it's going to be very difficult to ever make an auto buy that truly follows the meta as fast as it can and builds the perfect thing on every gun in every matchup. But we do want it to be a reasonably usable build for new players so that they at least have some of the items and stats that their god in class should have for their role.
I feel like
some fixes to that.
There has to be a way
to things like
for them to just only build
that are very great to use.
Like awesome. What the pro players
that's quality of life. So those changes and any changes that we make quality
like
of life
track
and anything
specifically
like that will be on the
50
notes,
players
now,
and
so
just only use like their
feel
builds.
Like you missed something and want to go read through it, you can find everything
and
there.
Then update those players
those
every
will
3
all be
months
going
or
live
whatever.
with 9.2. And next up we have bug fixes as well. Just some of the things that we found between 9.1 or just that we've known about and we've worked on that we're fixing up. So let's start with UI. It looks like there's a console navigation error that we fixed. So what was that?
Yeah, so a few things to note is obviously new season, a lot of big stuff. So there was a lot of stuff we were focusing on. A lot of the biggest bugs that have been fixed are already fixed. They've been hot fixed, so to say. Some of those are still mentioned in the patch notes, just so people can make sure they see them.
A lot
but,
of side
issues with Xbox,
stuff.
having issues on Conquest, that has been fixed already. But we also wanted to call out a few more fixes that are coming in 9.2, and this is just a small selection of them. There will be a longer list on the patch notes, but just a few that people are really concerned about. So the console commendation screen, we know that for you controller players, that was not the best experience. That was not our intent. We had it working, so we thought, but as can happen, something went wrong and changed the flow of that screen. So that is being fixed in 9.2. So that'll be a much better experience for all players on console. Thank you for reporting that and being so specific in your feedback so we could really quickly find the issue.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and then looks like there are a couple little god fixes as well. Some animation changes on a few people, and then Gilgamesh's passive. So you want to talk about that?
So Morgan Le Fay was having some interesting
you complete your quest, and they're like, "Thanks, bro."
And you're like, attacking, it would kind of snap between the two animations. So that's been smoothed out.
What about my
Morgan? Hera and Shanga.
No man, we're dirt poor. We ain't got nothing for you, dude. It was just
and Gilgamesh was going on these quests and opening up this treasure chest, and it was just empty.
Wait a second, there's nothing here.
It was a mimic. But yeah, I don't know what was going on with that, but we fixed that as well.
Yeah,
it's so good.
This isn't a big too bad, but those worn boots and worn shoes that were in the store for level 21 unlock. Yeah, those are no longer going to be in the game because Gilgamesh was not happy about that.
No way, that's so funny.
Okay, yeah, so we are removing the boots reminder and the boots of legacy.
It was trying to give him legacy boots.
Which is strange because before season 8,
that's so funny. He opens it up and
I guess season 9 came. He started questing a little too hard, found some hidden treasure, and we just had to be like, all right, sorry.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So, all right, and the last couple little bug fixes we want to talk about are item related. A couple description changes and re-enabling the Emblem of Peril. So get into that one.
Yeah, so Nimble Rod of Tahuti, Hide of the Nemean Lion, and Jotun's Ferocity, as well as a few other items, are going to have description passes to make their passives more clear. Apologize for our abbreviated text here. But yeah, we did a pass on a couple of descriptions we saw with the new season. Some of the items, people had some extra questions. Jotun's Ferocity, people were asking how long the mark lasts. That'll be mentioned there. Nimble Rod had a power cap that was intended, so that's described there. As well as things like Rod and Nemean Lion, what types of power and protections are being used for that calculation, all being described there. And also, the horrific emblem upgrade was one of the upgrades was just not functioning at all, unfortunately. Through some bug fixing in PTS, we actually
that's always a bummer. Don't you hate when you upgrade your relic and it stops
completely
working at all?
For the 9.1 patch, but now will be fixed.
Or like
and
every
returned.
time you buy beads.
A lot of good bug fixes, a lot of good feedback from our players during PTS and season 9 to help us get these smaller issues ironed out, and things will be looking good for 9.2.
Yeah. And that's it for the bug fixes that we're talking about. Again, there's plenty more that we've worked on and worked out on the update notes. Make sure you check those out. And make sure that y'all keep bringing these to our attention. There is not a single person within Titan Force that I've talked to who hasn't been like, yeah, we want people to have fun. We want this game to feel good for like everybody. So, you know, whether you play console, PC, whatever, like when y'all let us know that there's an issue, it helps us so much, especially if you're more in depth. Like, hey, when I'm on this menu and I hit triangle while moving this stick, like if you give us all the info to figure it out, we're going to figure it out because we want this game to feel better for y'all, and we just want it to be as fun as it can be. So thank y'all for all the help with these bugs. We're going to keep crushing them as we can.
Now for the real
so next up, we have
notes.
some map changes coming with 9.2, and there's a good number of them, especially on Conquest. A lot of little balance changes here and there, some timing. So let's just dive right into it. Let's talk about what's happening on the Conquest
actually.
map.
Well, there is quite a few things here.
So,
yeah, there is.
A lot of duo side farms.
If y'all wants to try to tackle the beast, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'll take this first page, then Clumsy, you can do the next one.
Reminder, you can type an exclamation mark here or check out the panel down below to spur a cure rare disease today
that
only.
One as a trio harpy, that's an elder and 2 minor harpies. That is worth quite a lot of experience, and it's relatively easy to kill.
Yes, it is.
So what we were seeing there was a little bit too much snowballing in that lane, and that's going to be a bit of a theme today. We saw in the new season map that people were able to gain pretty big advantages over their opponents pretty early on in the game. So we're going to be making multiple changes here to just kind of slow down the total golden experience curve across the Season 9 Conquest map. First thing is going to be that Harpy camp. It's being replaced to a single Alpha Harpy, which are harder to kill and easier to contest because it's just one camp, so the opponent can come up and last hit it from you if you're not careful. And they apply that attack speed debuff, and they're going to be worth a little bit less total XP and gold. We're also adjusting the jungle spawn timers. We're making 2 specific delays. Did you want to talk about this one, Clumsy?
Yeah, for sure. So with the new season of Conquest, you know, everyone's going to be working really diligently to try and find out what the optimal start is, and whether that's going to be playing out over time or not. There's been a lot of consensus on, you know, we want to make sure that the jungler's not hitting level 2 too quickly by themselves solo and coming in even before the other laners are hitting level 2 and, you know, ganking them within just a few seconds of the game start. So there is a popular start right now, and that might be helpful to learn for reference, where the jungler and mid are starting at speed camp together. Now, that's not what everyone's doing, right? We can see starts still that are lingering from Season 8, where the jungler by themselves are doing speed into back camp, or even with the solo laner. The change here is we're actually going to be delaying that initial back Harpy camp from 15 seconds after the match starts to 30 seconds. This way, the option for the jungler, if they want to go solo, to do speed camp into back camp, to hit level 2 very quickly before the other laners, is no longer going to be a viable option. It's going to require the junglers and everyone who really wants to try and optimize the map to try and find their best rotation now. But this way, we solve the problem for now, at least until you guys find a way to break it again. The jungler hitting level 2 too quickly before everyone else is.
Think it matters,
kind of creating a really volatile start
anyway. So
we're going to be looking at this, of course, intensely as the season pans out. If we need to make more changes, we will. But this is just our way of trying to solve that issue for now.
It would actually only affect Arachne
is also having some
throwing down her webs and getting the early level 2.
So the general idea with the Obelisk is we're just kind of toning down its total impact in a couple different places. This was able to give a large amount of team gold. So that's up to an amount of gold per person on your team when it completed. What we like about the Obelisk is that both teams get gold. So if one team is filled up 100% and the other team is filled up 70%, both teams still get gold, and it's a little closer. What that was still doing, though, is if a team was way ahead and the other team had nothing, they were getting a really big lead from that. And it was also just injecting a little bit too much gold
3% to 2%
into the whole
That's a good nerf on the
Scepter.
Scepter.
And what we often see when players have too much gold too quickly is actually that damage characters tend to take off faster than
harder to steal as well.
So these changes are going to be
these
a really
are all
big
good changes
impact on slowing down the Conquest game mode just a little bit in its XP and gold gain, as well as slowing down DPS characters' damage output. Because damage tends to outscale tankiness in Smite in the long term in gold. So we're also decreasing the amount of damage that Indra's Scepter can do to enemy gods, which is, it's pretty significant. It can do quite a lot.
It can be quite a lot, yeah.
We're glad that it's potent and effective because it is a hard thing to gather and
literally
have
just
to be shared
laughing
by the team. So we wanted it to be impactful, but it was just a little too strong. And we're also making it a little bit harder to invade because stealing those Obelisk offerings can be really powerful strategy.
Every single one of those is a good change,
friends. There, so
every single one.
More damage from the Obelisk if you attempt to steal those.
That sounds good. I'm still learning how to play with the Obelisk, honestly. Like, it's such a change that I'm like, all right, like, make sure I grab the offering, make sure I go back and get that buff. So, these kind of stuff it'll help me adapt more as well, that I'm not being insta-killed by it.
Focus on the Obelisks. That's what I'll tell you to do. If you think you're falling behind in Conquest and you don't know why, you should be paying more attention to the Obelisks. They're worth a lot. But we'll be toning that down a little bit in 9.2. which I think will still make them valuable, just not as game.
Well, so far so good on the changes going into 9-2.
So the last bit of map change that we want to talk about is Slash is having some changes made to the Wild Juggernaut stat scaling values. Clumsy, you want to get into that for me?
Yeah, I think the most important thing here is it's really focusing on the Wild Juggernauts, and we're making sure that as the game goes on, they just scale appropriately to the players, to the other monsters in the game. So whether it's the health, the physical power, or the different protections, even for the protection side, right, we're increasing them from 0 to 4 and 1 respectively for the protection. So they're going to scale a little bit more. They're going to be a little bit, harder to kill, or at least a little bit more of a challenge. As the
I don't know enough about Slash.
Awesome.
I've only played one game.
Sounds good. I mean, I love pushing with the Juggernauts anyway, so having them be as tanky as I am when I'm running it down as Atlas.
I have no opinion.
That'll be good.
And let me just say that the Slash support has been really huge. Really much appreciation to everybody out in the community who's played the game mode. We've seen a lot of fun debates about, is it too much Clash? Is it not enough Siege? Is it what people like? Is it what people don't like? But what we have seen is it is extremely highly played. So whatever you're reading people say or commenting about the game mode, that's definitely important. That means one thing, but what we have seen is this mode, a lot of people are playing this mode. A lot of people. It's doing much better than Siege plus Clash plus a new season bonus. It's doing much more people than even all that are playing it. So it seems like doing a new game mode is a pretty cool thing to do. It's been a long time since we've done it. So
to be fair,
really
it's pretty much
kind of the modern era of Smite and just kind
it's
of
almost
see
like
what effects it has. So
casual conquest now, if you know what I'm saying. Like, not casual conquest, it's like casual conquest.
Because it is,
which is kind of what people play Smite for.
I think it's been really
people
fun.
play Smite because Smite's the casual MOBA.
I'm a little
and it's
biased,
like the casual conquest.
I see on the numbers
conquest light. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense.
Mouth portals, because every time there's a Juggernaut, I'm like, all right, I got a bag so I can go through the mouth portal. So it's very important to me.
That level of comms is very important.
I love them so much. All right, so cool. Again, all of this is coming out on February 22nd with update 9.2. But now let's get into the balance section for items. So the first item that's getting touched is Persistent Teleport. Looks like it's getting a nerf to the cooldown. So what's going on there, AJ?
So that one coming.
So this one was one that was on our radar during PTS.
It'll still be good.
Season, but we didn't really see that much use of it until just the last few days. So it did miss the bonus balance. It's going to be in the main patch, even though it's a nerf. But Persistent Teleport, we're glad to see some teleport options becoming viable again, because most of last year they just felt really weak. So we want this one to be viable. We would prefer to see it more in solo lane, but we are seeing it some on support. We're even seeing it some as a second pickup in hunters and assassins for split push purposes. That's where we're trying to draw the line. We're trying to nerf those types of players who are using the teleport in that way.
That's a meme.
It's not really conclusive that it's that powerful in that way yet, but we have seen it quite often, and we have seen it could be a source of frustration. So we want the kills and assist part of this relic to still be impactful, so we're just nerfing the base cooldown first.
Cool. Well, yeah, makes me a little sad because I love taking the solo lane. It's like I'd get starter and upgrade the relic all the way. That way it's just like, all right, well, I messed that fight up, but I can get back to lane pretty quick. So
it is nice when you can do that.
It is, especially if you're like me and you don't.
I guess you can if you really wanted to.
So next up we have Agents of Judgment, also getting.
But I guess you could.
Looks like the damage cap is being touched a little bit.
Wow.
So what's happening with that?
Yeah,
they're nerfing the
there's
Judgment
two main components
again.
here, and of course we talked about the chaotic beads in the bonus balance section. This is kind of the other half of a defensive relic that's getting its offensive capabilities in the upgrade toned down a little bit, and that's twofold. The damage cap will be changing from 30% to 20%, but the other really important thing is it's no longer going to be factoring in from your character's max health. It's going to be from the target's character's max health.
Whoa.
So with those two changes in mind, it's going to be doing a lot less effective damage. And we're again, with all these changes, we're going to keep an eye out on it. We've seen a large procs of Agents of Judgment damage throughout these last few weeks, and yeah, if we need to nerf that some more, we'll go ahead and do it.
Awesome. Next up, it looks like Calamitous Rod also
pretty hard nerf.
A shift made a little bit.
Pretty hard nerf right there.
So it's decreasing the warm up time a little bit and the magical power scaling a little bit as well. What's happening with that, AJ?
Yeah, so this relic,
got better.
Not relic, glyph. We've seen quite a lot of purchase of it. We also saw quite a lot of discussion in the preseason and midseason, or PTS and 9-1, that it wasn't very impactful. So what we've got here is a little shift. We are speeding up the actual damage area time. So that was a deployable that was a little too slow, and that's being sped up from 1.5 to 1 second, which is a pretty significant change. You know, that's like so that's like 33% faster, right? So that's much more likely to hit its target. But because of that, we did want to take the damage just down a little bit.
It does actually make it
the main thing we want to focus on Calamity's Rod is make it a little bit more reliable first. Once we feel like it's actually reliable and showing up in more builds and being used, then we can kind of calibrate its damage from there. But just to be safe, taking a little nerf right up front.
Because even with the previous iteration of Calamity Rod Up, we saw a lot of people, theorizing that it might be only viable on certain mages who can definitely proc that, the warm-up time. We're saying, Nox is now significantly better. Now it's going to be a little bit more applicable on a variety of mages. Yeah. But believe me, I did a lot of testing this myself. That 40% scaling, when it hit hard. So that's why the shift is there. In my opinion, it might even need more of a damage nerf down the line. But let's get it reliable first.
Fair enough. I mean, it is
to
scary,
be fair, Clumsy is a mage.
Looks like Bluestone pinned it. Receiving a buff, a little bit of HP 5 bump. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, this is going to be just a tiny buff towards Bluestone Pendant, but it's going to be in parity with the nerfs coming from the Warriors Act, right? So obviously we saw a lot of popularity on that starter item. Now with that nerf and the buff for Bluestone,
they're trying to just inch solo lane over
towards
those are
usually the options.
Although there's a couple hunters that use it well
that
too.
You're going to see. Bluestone, of course, we want to be very, very careful because we've got the options not just in the solo lane on Warriors, but you've got hunters that might be picking it up. You've even got junglers who might want to get it as well. So just a small change to the HP 5 and survivability.
I don't know about that.
I thought it was already coming back in solo, and I think we're going to really see it now, which is going to be a good shakeup for the meta.
Yeah, I like it a lot, so shiny Blue Rock fan. So next up, Stone of Binding getting a buff as well. Magical protection and physical protection both being nudged up a little. So why Ajax?
All right, so
5?
Stone of Binding is a really highly statted item for its cost, actually. It is still the only tier 2 item in the game. Fun fact, we've mostly designed away from all of those because they had different problems, and I think that made sense. Stone of Binding is the only one that remains because it's a support item, which I think makes sense too, why it can still be around, because supports are generally the class that we feel good about giving them a lot of stats for a relatively cheap price as long as other gods can't use them too much.
Supports are the class that we can leave it in for the game for because
we wanted to bring this up as another viable support option. So just increasing the protections a little bit on
what are they going to do? They're support.
A little bit better to build, make you a little bit tankier if you do choose to build it on support, which is already you're making an aggressive pivot away from like a full tank item. So this will make that a little bit more smooth.
Awesome. I'm a tank person, so I'm all about it. Next up, Titan's Bane getting a buff, being more of a Bane, it sounds like. Physical power and passive item cooldown.
I haven't seen a Titan's Bane in a long time.
Why the Bane increase?
Long time.
So we did the nerf earlier on, like we talked about from Crusher in the bonus balance section, and Titan's Bane is one of those items where we've increased the number of options that kind of are viable with it. Serrated Edge is kind of a competitor to Titan's Bane that you see, very often. And instead of nerfing Serrated Edge because we think it's in a good spot, we wanted to bring Titan's Bane to be a little bit more competitive with it. So a little bit of power, decreased passive cooldown. That'll allow you to maybe actually get off 2 different procs of the passive in maybe one fight. We think that'll hopefully make it a little bit closer in comparison to other items.
There's a lot of good pen in the game.
And last but not least,
on
items for 9-2. Looks like Relic Dagger isn't quite as sharp as it used to be, getting a little bit of a nerf onto the cooldown reduction it provides to Relic.
Yeah, that's a good
Relic
idea.
Dagger is sharper than ever with all these powerful new relics, right? So with relics that are very powerful, as well as relics that have ways to level up and get lower cooldowns on them, it made Relic Dagger possibilities really powerful. So we're going ahead and nerfing this just a little bit. I think it's very possible this item's still going to be a top pick, potentially in multiple roles with the new relics this season.
I mean, you basically buy it every game right now. Just to be safe, there's no reason not to get this nerf.
Just to that passive factor.
Just a little bit.
So this is another 10 seconds, so total 30-second nerf to those split pusher teleporters.
Exactly. That's the good point, right? Because people thought the persistent teleport nerf wasn't enough. Now you have a double hit on this kind of an item build. Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, if you were Relic Daggering your persistent teleport to split push, you're a lost
so
cost.
That does it for items in 9-2. That is going to be
a lost
again.
cost.
If you missed any of that, make sure to check out the update notes, which are live now, coming out February 22nd. But we have some God Balance to talk about. Starting with Jingwei getting a buff, it looks like, to Persistent Gust and Explosive Bolts. So, Clumsy, why is Jingwei
nice. Nice CDR change.
So we did the nerf to crit damage in 9.1, and with that, obviously there's going to be a lot of characters who utilize crit in various degrees in their kits. Jingwei was one that wasn't actually that strong or that popular. We expected maybe in SWC, with the Worlds coming in, people might default some of these safer hunters, but we didn't even see that with Jingwei. So we obviously hit her with some nerfs before that was the case. Now we're going to be bringing her back and addressing her cooldowns over other parts on our kit where hunters might find already a lot of strength. So hopefully with persistent gust and explosive bolts, cooldown reductions, you'll be able to use her in a little bit more of a variety of situations.
Focusing on her aggression and damage as well, as opposed to her safety, and being careful not to buff that, which we know is already a strong aspect of the goddess.
True. Flying away from things feels very good when you actually, nail it. So, Hera up next as well, getting a buff. Polymorph and Argus, the defender, are also getting touched there, getting a little bit of a buff. So, why is Hera getting
damage?
We have not seen much of Hera recently, so we're just looking to bring up a few more mages that we haven't seen played as much.
A lot of protection.
We want to continue to increase
the
mid-mage god pool, especially with all the mid-mage items adjustments we've been making this season. Polymorph shipped with relatively low damage. It's a powerful CC
still
effect,
super awkward,
but it's also a very slow traveling projectile. And I think it's very reasonable that Hera gets a little bit more base damage on that to make sure that item actually feels
damage
like a
isn't a
mage
problem.
ability,
Just great damage.
and that give her
she has
some
to walk up
potential.
to a wave to clear
Also,
it.
Argus is getting
really
buffed
an
to his
option
late
this season.
game protection skill.
Or last season. Really.
Argus is really scary in the early game, and getting hit by the Argus drop is still really powerful in the late game.
Yeah.
But a lot of times in the late game, he just gets shredded by the enemy hunter or someone and gets taken down really quick. So buffing up his protections in the late levels just to make sure he's around on the battlefield for a little bit longer, and getting to be that ultimate ability that he really deserves to be.
Yeah, I agree. Usually Argus sees a max level hunter and he's Argon, so I think that's worth it. So next up, this one is scary and I don't like it. Bakasura getting a buff to eat minion. Or eat me, I guess, usually. So, why Clumsy?
Well, so Bakasura, when he gets online, can be pretty scary. But it's one of those gods where, unless you kind of are used to playing with as him, he struggled for a very long time. Let's put it that way. And eat minion's one of those abilities that you it's a very, singular purpose. As you use that in lane, it's not in the lane. Well, you can actually use it in lane, but in the jungle specifically, to get the restoration, to get the passive going, but outside of that, you have to utilize
certainly different.
But now we wanted to, we were really looking at what kind of an interesting dynamic we can bring, and not just extra stats like we would put on passive, but something to change the way Bakasura plays.
That is very different.
Now eat minion is going to be subtracting the cooldowns from your 1 and your 3 specifically,
it's
not from their ultimate. That might
spicy.
just be a bit too much whenever you successfully eat a minion. Now keep in mind, we did make a change, I believe, whether it was last year or before that, where Bakasura can eat the minions from his ultimate. So you're always going to have that chance, as long as you're in a team fight, to actually make use of this cooldowns reduction. So this should be a pretty interesting new change.
I don't know if it's gonna matter, but it's interesting.
Sorry, Danny, but you might see a couple more of him in games.
Yeah, probably see those people who know how to make him as horrifying as he deserves to be show back up in my Conquest games. Cool. Awesome, though. Still good for Bakasura players. Ratatosker up next, getting a buff as well. Bristlebush Acorn looks like it's having some of its stats nudged a little bit. So,
no, not the crit card.
Right, in the great rebalancing of crit, there was plenty of comments and discussion about Ratatosker and his crit Acorn. This Acorn was quite popular when it first came out, but it's not exactly the most powerful Acorn, but it can be really fun to go full burst damage Ratatosker in the jungle. And it's definitely falling behind now with the other crit adjustments, so it needed its fair share of buffs. So what you're seeing is a 5% increase on the critical strike chance, as well as the lifesteal and basic attack damage that he gets after hitting someone with his dart ability. So Ratatosker, always a fun god. He's got 4 different acorns though, which is always an interesting balance decision.
Yeah,
about what's going to be the best, what's going to be his.
I don't recommend.
Makes him really flexible.
Jimmy
right
crit
now,
corn.
I think Ratatosker plays better as a pseudo tank or a more utility jungler, but we wanted to make sure he had that full damage option available to him.
Sounds good. And I lost my composure there because for some reason the words crit acorn just hit me really hard for some reason. That's just fun to say. So cool. Next up was Kumakarna is having a buff as well to Mighty Yawn. So he's even sleepier now. And why is that, Clumsy?
So Kumakarna is one of those guardians that you hate to love, you love to hate, right? These ones where when he's very effective, whether it's in Conquest or in Arena, you definitely can feel it. But he's also one of the ones that if you get your damage off, if you use all of your abilities in conjunction the right way, you're not only CCing enemies for a long time, but you also do a lot of damage even with the normal guardian build. So we wanted to find ways that we can increase his utility, increase how strong he is without really addressing his frustration factor too much. And one part that really stood out was the Mighty Yawn, specifically its early game ranks and the debuff you apply when you wake up enemies early from that mez. So if you see from the change we made, we scaled, it used to scale from 1 to 2 seconds. Now it's just 2 seconds at all ranks. So late game, it's still going to be the same potency as you were having before, but a 1 second debuff for a utility effect is very low early on. So we're just kind of keeping it at that flat amount.
Awesome. Next up, Terra is getting a buff, already very buff, to Monolith. Looks like the cooldown is getting decreased a little bit. So what's going on there, Ajax?
Right, so this ability
nobody
is
plays
probably
Terra.
a Monolith.
Ever since they fixed that bug on her,
results from
nobody's
old
playing.
meta days. Still hanging around. This is a very long cooldown for a regular ability, but it is a powerful ability. It combos with Terra's other abilities. Terra was pretty strong throughout a lot of the year, but we did make that change with her ability to collapse her standing stones while also shattering them, which would give her a double stun bonus damage effect all at once. That was removed because it was not intended. Even though it was a clever use of game mechanics and not technically a bug, we did eventually change their design there so that would not be possible, which brought down Terra's priority, especially in pro play, down quite a bit. So doing our best to bring her back up. Want to be safe, though, because we know this god has a pretty strong potential to dominate pro metas pretty quickly. So starting with just a small cooldown buff, and we'll see where she goes from here.
Sounds good. Yeah. Speaking of buff, we have one last buff god getting a buff for this section here, and that is Hercules. Looks like a little bit of a buff to Earthbreaker.
Physical power scaling, 10.
Why is he being even more buff, Clumsy?
Well, the problem was, Hercules going into the season, even the ending of the last... He wasn't hitting the gym as much as he thought he was. His stats were a little bit on the lower end. Maybe it's winter. We're not sure what it was, but...
To be fair, he did not do particularly good in the STL.
So addressing Earthbreaker, something that he uses in the combo of his other abilities, increasing it by 10% scaling. We've said it many times, Warriors kind of can live and die by just the 10%. So we're hoping this is going to bring him to a level that we feel is a little bit more balanced and kind of not overtuned. Obviously, we've got the Bluestone buffs coming in as well, so we're going to keep an eye on him.
Of course, yeah. I mean, we're shipping him a case of protein and some words of encouragement.
That won't drastically change the old Hercules.
Cool. Well, that does it for all of the updates, all of the balance in 9.2. All of those are going to be going live again with update 9.2 on February 22nd. So make sure you keep your eyes out for that. And if you feel like you missed anything,
no majors, huh? We're really letting mages through.
Hop over to the update notes. That's where you're going to be able to see that stuff. And all the info is laid out for you there. So next up, we have another super fun segment I'm excited to go through, and that is skins with 9.2.
Okay.
And we're going to have a couple additional guests here with me as well.
Mid lanes are going to continue to rock your socks off for a long time.
And we're going
until
to be
January, February, at least March.
Might as well introduce our guests first.
At least March.
So we have Kitten of Doom and Palagoon. So hi, welcome y'all.
Hello. Hey, so glad to be here.
Super happy to have y'all. Y'all having a good day today?
Pretty good, pretty busy, but good.
Yep, super excited to get into these skins. They're so good.
I was about to say, I hope if it's a good day, it's only going to get better because these skins are awesome.
Lie, I'm gonna pee
starting
my
with
pants,
Lunar Moth Discordia coming from the Lumi chest. Let's check it out. Lunar Moth is hiding from us, apparently. There she is.
Oh my goodness.
I love it.
Look at
this
her
is a great color scheme.
Yeah.
Look at her little moth friend as her apple.
It's so cute. And you can tell it's Discordia because, look at that rabbit throwing a haymaker at the other rabbit.
Oh my goodness.
They are throwing down back there.
They are.
I didn't notice that.
Causing discourse in the forest.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
That's so cool. The detail on the wings.
Yeah. It's mesmerizing.
Wow.
Colors are beautiful. Her heels.
True, right? Those heels show off. I guess it's easier to wear heels when you can float, though. So, all right, let's hear the voice line.
All I have to do is focus on what I'm doing and to not get distracted by the light. It's harder than it looks.
If we work together, I know we can save the world.
I sense my foes. Perhaps their strength will humor me.
The
a lot of lines there.
Got a couple extra there.
Yeah, true. We're teasing stuff that we're just about to show you anyway, so for funsies. But that's super awesome. Absolutely love that. And yeah, Moth and Light. So we have to make sure that people like Soul is going to be a big competitor because she's made of light or fire, but it works the same way. So next up, it looks like we're going to have the Mystic Moon chest with Mystic Moon Tsukuyomi. So let's see what Tsukuyomi's bringing to the battleground.
I missed a good skin.
Oh no, he's hot.
Just
is he?
Time for Lunar
is
New
he?
Year. Got decked out with all the.
Is that true?
The lunar symbology and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Weapons are awesome.
True. Look at that hair.
Yeah. He's one of
Not
our
my thing.
boys.
Not my thing.
Coming up. He looks awesome.
He does. I love his weapons, just the colors being the purple and the blue. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, they pop.
They played voice lines for other skins for the first skin.
All right, let's hear the voice line.
If we work together, I know we can save the world.
You're ready to save the world this one. Or, destroy me in arena. It's fine, either way. Caltrops. Awesome. So absolutely love this skin. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, the trim on all this armor, there's like a lot of intricate detail. For any players looking at him in the lobby, they're going to have a lot to take in.
Right. Gonna hop into that God page, flip to the skin, and just spin it around 100 times and really soak it, like you said, all the detail.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we have the Dharmic Era event.
He also needs to use the
coming in 9-2, starting with Oni Huntress Artemis. So let's see Artemis. Ooh.
This card art.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Got the Oni.
Beautiful.
I have no idea how this is going to look in game.
There.
True.
Husky just had a hard day at work. He's chilling.
Yeah, it's a big
It seems like a hard card art to put in game.
Look at how sleepy that big old boy
we shall
is.
see. It was way too hard of a card art to put in game. I was right.
Wow.
I was right.
That silk really pops too.
I knew.
Silk pants look amazing.
Sometimes you can just tell. You look at the card art and it's like, it's going to be good in 2D, but by the time they try to make it 3D, there's no way.
Let's hear the voice line.
I sense my foes. Perhaps their strength will humor me.
So she's not playing games. She's here to hunt and win and game over. So.
I'm such a nerd for any like demon or Oni skin we've done. They work so well.
I really like the bonus balance
cool.
skins.
I couldn't agree more.
I really like the bonus
I think
balance
that's
skins.
Awesome. So the next one coming with the Dharmic Era event is going to be Crystalline Chaos Nuwa. So let's see the chaos. Oh,
it's gonna be cool.
That's awesome.
So excited for this one. Is gorgeous.
This could be cool.
Very main bad guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Big main bad guy vibes. Yeah.
No, go for it.
It's just very different from all her other skins. It's nice
That's
to
cool
see that, difference.
very
and
final,
she's getting, like,
final
a kind
boss.
of dark theme going on.
Yeah.
Last level of the tower that you climbed.
Oh, that's sick.
I bet this will
pair
great. Very well with the
cool.
the Atlas skin that just released. They have the same like metal purple vibe.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Let's hear the voice line.
The universe is so pure, so orderly. We will have to change that.
Oh, so ominous.
Oh,
beautiful.
That is ominous.
Awesome.
It like echoes too. You feel it in like your soul. All right, so that's awesome. So next up, we're actually going to do a quick pause. We mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we just want to touch back on the viewer store. So the viewer store is going to have some updates coming with 9.2. Obviously, we've announced it. We said it earlier. We're going to say it again. 9.2 is when the viewer points are going to be reset to 75,000. So if you are above 75,000, you will be brought back down to 75,000. If you are at 75 or below, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. You're going to remain where you are. So make sure that you get whatever you want from the viewer store before this ships on February 22nd. To help with that, there are going to be 2 more rotations of skins coming out pretty rapidly. February 8th, you're going to have a Hel, a Neith, and a Ymir skin. And then on February 15th, you're going to have a Nuwa, an Athena, and an Erling Shen skin. So make sure y'all are keeping your eyes on the viewer
opportunities
store.
to buy stuff.
The release dates for those will be in the patch notes. You can
They'll give you an opportunity to use those points, so you hopefully don't have to let them go to waste.
But make sure you keep your eyes on those because we want y'all to be able to spend your points
good of them,
before
for
the new
sure.
season comes around. Another thing to note is with the new season, Season 9, obviously we're going to have another viewer pass available for y'all. And the viewer pass is going to come with a new skin, which we're going to show off in a sec, that is pretty much going to guarantee that you're going to get the viewer pass because it's amazing.
It's so good.
It's so good. And as well as doubling the amount of viewer points you can earn all across the board. So if you're, betting on SPL or doing predictions for SPL, then you'll earn double points with the viewer pass. Yeah, you have twice the weekly cap and twice as many points earned just for participating and watching. So it's very good if you're using that viewer store, and we're going to continue to try to rotate things throughout Season 9 to make sure that y'all have content that y'all can pick up from hanging out with us on stream and earning those viewer points. So there will be also a Viewer Pass Plus, which will come with a whole heaping bunch of viewer points.
Viewer Pass
100,000 viewer points for getting the Plus Pass. So if you want to start off with your pockets full of
now
Plus
Smite
points,
Plus
might be worth it for you. But let's get into the skins and show y'all what it's really about. So the first thing, this is the stretch skin, is Shadow Prowler Bastet with the viewer point store.
I love this theme every time we do it, and it works so well here, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm so excited to show you guys this. There's like some really cool fur in this skin, and I also love that little bit of waviness in the skin.
It's different.
There's just these. You're right. These skins always turn out really well. The theme.
I think it's kind of cool.
Really hard.
Wow, her whip looks really cool.
It's different for sure.
I was about to say, pulsing with energy. I absolutely love it. And I also love, like you said, the way that the skin has this aura about it. It's kind of moving a little bit. It's so great to look at.
Yeah, feels very like spooky matriarch.
To me,
wow, the voice almost nailed exactly my description.
So
actually,
it's terrible.
Wow, why are you trying to spook me in February? What the heck?
That's awesome.
All right, so this next skin it's just I've thought of how I wanted to announce this. I don't think there's any perfect way other than saying it's here. Next up, we have Big Gun Khepri.
They gave Khepri a gun.
We've had this in the chamber for a while, and we're finally pulling the trigger on it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it has been a community meme for so long. I'm so happy.
Give Khepri a gun.
Yeah.
Give Khepri a gun.
Loaded for you guys.
Holy cow, they made Khepri a giant gun.
I'm excited for whatever one comes out after the show.
Every single leg.
Oh my goodness.
Every single leg of the gun.
And all I want to say is
so good.
Soj King has been an Olympian for 3 days, and he's finally here.
Big Gun. Oh, this is just so great. He is the gun. We made him the Big Gun. So it is
very good.
Oh, look, the little like mouth on the bottom of the chamber. This is
These guys so
amazing.
many.
Like I already love it's hard to beat Crab Rave, but I am contested for a favorite.
That is excellent use of community meme come to life.
Absolutely love it so much. Look at him. My heart is it's full right now. Let's listen to the voice line.
I never thought I'd one day be a smoking gun, literally. But here we are.
Oh my god. It's so perfect. Awesome. This deserves to be seen in game.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And we start looking down the barrel of the gun. That is so good.
Gosh.
Lock, stock, and
literally excellent.
In this case.
True.
Gotta just
See
make
right
him
here.
into the gun.
This is a great
such
meme.
good design decision.
Hot Dog Odin
so
cursed.
well.
This
we hope everybody's happy with it because we have heard.
I love the hat, like the hat just flips up when he jumps. I love that so much.
But yeah, y'all talked about it and wanted it for so long, we couldn't not. We had to find a way to make it work.
Yes, I think
this is
Simpo
America.
and Biakai,
they've
been, trying to get this skid in for so long. Big shout out to them, but I'm just so happy to finally see him.
Yeah, look at the giant bullet. That's so great.
Oh, the 3 is the bullet.
That's so good. See, this is, I talked about how important the Olympians are earlier. This is what it is. Y'all meme us hard enough and we'll put Khepri gun into the game.
Yeah, meme your Olympians, guys. They want it.
We take our memes very seriously here.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that is so
hi-rez
awesome.
has always taken their memes very
What an
seriously.
absolutely incredible
Oh, the
skin.
dance!
Yes, let's go.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is so good. I love his mustache too. So much character. Oh my gosh. All right. My heart is racing. So that is those are the skins coming with update 9.2. Again, February 22nd. Y'all can go to the patch notes now and see all of that stuff. So just I'm super happy to share all of that. And as Big Gun Khepri proves, if y'all are fanatic about something, we love trying to make your dreams come true. So we hope y'all love it, and we're super excited about it. So
we're all ears, that's for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all for joining me. There's one more big thing going on after this, and that's
the new
Shiva.
God.
So let's get into it right after this video.
Yay, Shiva!
Our journey has been arduous.
I'm actually down to watch this trailer again. This trailer's hype.
But no longer.
But Lady Bellona, have some faith, Merlin. They're gods.
What if we're not ready?
Then we'll fall united.
My liege, be on your guard.
Yeah, it's a really good trailer. Honestly, the trailer is so good, it makes me want a Smite show. They got the Dota show, they got the League of Legends show, but I want my Smite show. They can make it happen. They can make it happen in the Smite universe. Crossover all the gods and stuff.
For there is no end. Death, life, destruction, creation, threads
That's
of the
just called
same fabric.
history.
No matter who you worship, where you call home, we are all connected in this life. And in the face of destruction, you can despair alone or persevere together. This is not a world built in your image.
No. It is a better one.
Now give me it. Give me his kit. We know he's got 2 stances. He's got a lot of abilities because
chills every single time.
gods only come out with 12 abilities nowadays.
Back, Ajax and Clumsy.
Or it actually might just be an
to
edit
talk
on his
about
ability.
Shiva. I just so many things to talk about. This is such a huge release that we've worked incredibly hard on. I couldn't find a single person that I have worked with in the last couple months that if I ask them about this, they haven't been like, oh, we have been, this has been eyes on, hands on, hearts on the whole time. And we're excited to finally bring it to y'all. And let's start by talking through some of the, just some of the lore, the key pillars, stuff that we thought about while getting into Shiva. Like, let's just take it away.
I won't lie. AJ and I have both been here for a lot of these releases. I'm so excited for Shiva. I'm honestly more nervous now than I usually am. Not because of the stream, but just because I'm just excited. It's just nerves of excitement. So, I guess let me just get that out of the way. So, who is Shiva? Shiva is one of the primary gods of the Hindu Trimurti, which is basically the 3 gods, the 3 premier supreme beings of the Hindu pantheon, alongside Brahma and Vishnu. He is the supreme lord who creates, he protects, he destroys, and he recreates the universe. In some sects of Hinduism, in Shivaism, he's actually the original supreme deity, and there's many aspects of his lore that we wanted to utilize within his kit, utilize within his design, but there's also just so many different themes when it comes to Shiva.
We play Smite.
He's known to be the original yogi, living at the top of Mount Kailash, I believe, with his wife Parvati, his son Ganesha and Kartikeya. Right, so Ganesha is actually the son who's already in our game too. He's not a god of destruction. His title is the Destroyer, and that's because again he is the cycle of inevitability. He destroys the universe, and that's not seen as a bad thing. His worshippers and the people who believe in Shiva, it's not something that people think about in a negative light. He destroys the universe that it can be created yet again. It's just a cycle that is so integral that it's actually the name of his passive in a way too, Samsara. Of course, when we looked into his kit, his design, his art, there's so many aspects we wanted to make sure that we were very key on bringing into the game, into our version of Shiva. So as we've talked about in the closer look blog, as you can see when he's in the game as well, whether it's his Trishula trident to his Damaru drum to his, I could just say a whole list, and I think we've talked about a little bit as well, and we're going to get into a little bit as you see him in game. So let's have a look at the game.
Show him.
Great
Here
idea.
we go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we showed off his concept art, and there's, again, you can see all the different things about him, whether it's his iconic pose.
He's kind of daddy.
The cyclic ring around him.
Which is kind of the whole point, right?
Of art.
I mean,
like, his, model.
He's kind of like
absolutely
the
gorgeous.
dad.
Oh, and here we are.
So in a way. Oh.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, so beautiful.
So I guess this is a good opportunity to actually talk about a little bit of the things that are the iconic items that and just parts of his model, because we went through not just painstaking research, because a lot of this is things that we knew we needed to bring into the game. So whether that's the matted hair that he has,
some
with
cool
the top
colors
knot,
actually
you can see
on
has
that
actually
skin.
the blue tinges to it, because it's actually holding the river Ganges within it. The blue skin, but as well as a slightly deeperly blue throat, which is based on his stories of
his hair is sick. Look at the hair
he's
in
got
that.
his snake
That's
buddy
cool.
with him as well, which is actually integral there. We've got the horizontal lines in his forehead, the vertical eye, and I'm going to go through these a little bit. The crescent moon in his headdress. We've got his trident, which is the Damaru drum. We've got the Agni fire. We've got the meditation beads and the tiger skin. There's just so much love that we've put into bringing Shiva into the game, and we're really excited.
Reminder, he is a warrior. For those that just didn't know.
If y'all think we're at a good moment, let's
He is a
just
warrior.
see a showcase of the abilities.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Knock it out. Let's show them off.
Some sort of multiple knockups. Jam session. Oh my god, he's got an absolute jam session in his kit.
It's so awesome.
I love
I'm getting
that.
chills just from the sound
We're
effects
jamming.
and visuals. Oh.
Yes.
The audio design, the visuals, the particles, the animation, so much love.
I don't
from
know
all-
what
all
that
the
was,
customers.
but I'm loving the
Literally
DDR
firing on all
Smite kit.
cylinders constantly. So, I mean, let's just start off. Let's go through everything. Let's start off with the basic attack. Let's talk through that.
So yeah, Shiva does actually have longer basic attacks like we would see with a normal spear or lance user, the 16-foot range. He does have a basic attack chain as well, so that third hit will be a meteor hit, while the second one will be slightly weaker.
Cool.
He is also, of course, he's a physical warrior, as we've mentioned in the Closer Look blog. I know people were a little bit confused, and there's some people saying he's an assassin. No, he's a physical warrior. Although we expect him to be played in potentially different lanes, but we can talk about that again towards the end.
Yeah, awesome. Well, then let's get into what about the passive. So, Samsara, you said?
Yeah, Samsara. It is the idea of the cyclicality of the universe. That is going to be his gameplay hook. It's going to be what we talked about the Closer Look blog.
Half his
He's
abilities will
a
get like
state
an
switcher
effect of
more
like
than he is
a
a stand switcher,
helper.
and that you can see in his passive. He's
Another
gonna be going
half is
from the
like
two states
destruction.
of bliss and destruction, and you can go through these by dealing damage to enemy gods with different attacks and abilities. There's basically two components to the state switching.
Okay,
One is
see a
just a
switch
primary
over. It's cool.
buff or debuff state. So if you're in Bliss, you're going to be providing HP5 and MP5 buff aura to yourself and allies. If you're in Destruction, you're going to be doing the reverse to enemies. You're going to be decreasing their HP5 and MP5 around you. But playing off of that state for his abilities is that each one of his abilities outside of his ultimate will be providing different utility effects depending on which state he's in. So the abilities themselves won't be changing, and you're going to see, if you look at the patch notes, I'm sure you're going, why does he have so many different things? It's because you're going to basically be switching between different utility effects, and I'll go through each one of those as we continue on with the abilities.
Awesome. Well, now seems like a good time to continue forward into his first ability, Emblazoned Sweep.
Yeah, so his first ability, it's I want to say these are pretty simple, but when you put everything together, it's not quite so simple. But Emblazoned Sweep, Shiva is kind of enhancing his trident, the Trishula, with the fire of Agni, which is what he's holding in his hands, as he spins it around him, dealing damage and pulling in all of the enemies. When he spins around the trident, he's also leaving behind a firewall at the edge. That deals damage to enemies if they're inside of it. It's not a dot, but if you do cross within the threshold, you'll take damage. Kind of like Ganesha's ultimate. Now, the spin does damage. The damage on the fire, of course, is there. And going into that passive a little bit more, if you are in the Bliss state, so you can see that right now, the fire has a little bit of that blue tinge. And that's because if Shiva or his allies cross through that fire, they'll actually gain a movement speed buff. Now, if we switch to Destruction state, enemies who go through that will actually be getting their protections reduced for a short duration. So that's how the passive kind of
loving
works.
his gameplay.
The allies no longer gain that movement speed buff, but the enemies gain.
I love this as opposed to like a stand switch.
And like I said, we'll talk about the different effects and the different abilities, but there's a primary core component, which is the circle pull in and damage with that firewall, and then either the movement speed buff in Bliss or the protection reduction in Destruction.
That's incredible.
It is, in fact,
Yeah, that's
that is,
super
in fact,
awesome.
a good
I love
ability.
the thematic, destruction or creation has. It's just absolutely amazing. So I guess we'll move on to ability number 2, Damaru's Tempo.
Damaru is that little drum that he's attached to the Trishula trident, and that's what he's going to be using with the striking his trident in front of him with quite vigor that you can hear the Damaru shake. So what's happening here is you can actually see there's a segmented cone where you can choose which part of that cone you want to have the a knockup, really, the enhanced effect, which is the knockup. The damage is going to be going in throughout the cone. The knockup will also be hitting depending on which segment you choose, and those are the core components of the ability. The damage in the knockup will always happen. Now, for the states, if you're going to be in the Bliss state, it's an attack speed buff, always for Shiva, so you don't have to worry about it. He'll be gaining that. You can see the little buff that he gains in the tooltip icon, as well as allies. Again, if you actually are using this through enemies and through allies, they'll be gaining an attack speed buff as well. It doesn't matter. The segmentation is only there for the knockup. If he's in the destruction state, it's going to be an attack speed debuff instead. So nothing positive for your allies, but for your enemies, they're going to be hitting with that damage and going to be hit with that attack speed debuff.
A lot of discussion came up with this one in the blog post. This was the ability I was referring to about the unique cone targeter, where we have had cone targeters with a segment. Actually, we had Atlas, but this one actually has a manual selection of which segment you want to do the bonus effect in, which is a very new effect, and has a very unique skill shot element to it that feels natural, and you hit it a lot. But if you do get lazy or are careless, or you're trying to hit multiple targets, you might make a mistake and have to pay attention more.
Yep. So when it does have a little bit of a time
Two knockouts are just
when
straight
you
up
select
strong.
and
Just
you lock
straight up
in the
strong.
segment versus when it actually fires. There is that pre-fire target you can see which locks in that segment, so you can continue casting.
Although
and
they're
knowing where
like
the knockup is gonna
they're
be.
shorter.
But just keep that in mind.
knockups, it looks
Also,
like.
as you guys can
Not
already
like
tell,
big, beefy
Shiva
ones.
has quite a bit of CC and control.
Yes,
It's
he
mostly
sure
between
does.
these two abilities. There's less CC in the rest of his kit, but these are primarily very important. And now
That's a
again,
strong
I'm getting a little
combo
bit ahead of
right
myself,
there,
but if you're
man.
playing against a Shiva on lane,
Pull
maybe
in,
some
knock
Gaia
out,
to
baby.
try and sustain
Yoink,
back from some of
yoink.
these knockouts.
Of course, and I just want to comment on something that I think I noticed while we were showing off that last ability. If I'm correct, Shiva is one of the few people that has a non-combat animation, so an animation that only plays if you're out of combat. Is that correct?
That is. It's a feature that a lot of gods have, but a few within the last few years did not. It's something that essentially what it does is when the god is just idling like this, they will have a different idle than if they had just recently attacked. They would also have a different run and jump. So it's quite a few animations. It's a lot of the movement, jumping, the movement, the jumping, and movement. And Smite includes 8-way runs, which is a lot of different directions. So there's a lot of extra things there. So it is a very expensive additional add, but it's something that we've seen a lot of feedback for, and we are going to be attempting to bring back on as many future gods as we can. So much shout out to the animation team and for their planning and their work to get this on Shiva and make this god feel as special as he deserves to be.
I couldn't agree more.
This does not refer to dances, emotes, or special emotes. That's a completely different system. This is a much more subtle system of animation that adds additional kind of flavor and personality to the god while you're playing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally just saw that as we were talking about it,
Usability
watching them
3.
transform from
Usability
that,
3.
after attack or
Usability
post-attack
3.
animation, and then just all of these movements just are so fluent and add so much
Yeah,
character
yeah.
in life. It's just
He's
so
handsome.
enjoyable to watch.
He walks so smooth.
So super cool.
But
Sorry
what
to interrupt.
3
I just
ability do?
fell in love with that.
Yeah.
So next up we have ability number 3, and that's Pillar of Dawn. So let's talk about the Pillar of Dawn.
Yeah, the Pillar of Dawn. So Shiva chooses a selection mechanism. So it's kind of like 2 separate dashes in a way. So you can choose a location where you're going to dash into. And you can choose, that can be a short area, as you can see there. You can change the range on it. And Shiva dashes to that to the pillar, becoming CC immune and taking reduced damage while he's inside there, as well as pulsing kind of an aura effect. And then you can dash out again.
Whoa.
Each dash deals damage to enemies
that
in and
thing
out,
is hype.
as well as that aura, which does different things again, going back onto the passive. So if you're in Bliss state, you're going to be pulsing out a block stack to your allies, a maximum of 1. But Shiva himself, at the end of the duration of the pillar, will actually be accumulating block stacks. So he'll gain up to 3 when he leaves, and you can see that as the orbs floating around him.
Hey, that
if you're in just the destruction state, we kept this one a lot more simple. It's just going to be pulsing damage around him in that pillar.
Awesome. It is. So, I love like the silhouette view. That is so awesome to look at.
Yes, exactly. And that's a good mention, because we wanted to utilize his stories and his lore and his identity as much as we could.
ability
One of the
is
crazy
ecstatic,
Shiva is that he actually emerged from a pillar of fire,
crazy
revealing himself
aesthetic.
to Brahma and Vishnu. And that's something that the design team really just wanted to latch onto, and it just brought such great imagery that the art teams just executed on fantastically. So I'm very, very excited for this ability.
I couldn't agree more. A beautiful implementation. I think it looks absolutely stunning. So now we are on to the ultimate, which I'm super excited for, and this one is called Shiva Tandava.
Yes, that's right. So one of the things that I didn't mention is that Shiva, as the many different things, as the primary yogi, is the creator and destroyer. He's also a lord of dance, and that's something that he utilizes the Tandava to kind of destroy the world, but also in just many different stories to do many different things. But this is it. This is his ultimate dance, and quite literally. So in the Shiva Tandava, Shiva's CC immune for 6 seconds doing his dance, and there's up to 4 different steps that are always happening on the 1.5 second beats. In the first step, so also, I guess, before I get ahead of myself, you can see his buff, his ability icons change to the 3 different steps, and you can choose which one you're going to be going into next. So no matter what, there's always going to be the step that is performed at the 1.5 second beat, but you can choose an interchange between them. The first one is a heal for himself and allies, as well as a soft mana restore. The second one is the amplification step, where it does a little bit of damage, a little bit of healing, but also amplifies the radius and the effects of the next step that is performed. So you can see here the radius actually gets bigger. The third one is a damage to enemies as well as a shield reduction to enemies. So you can choose which order of dances, and I mean, again, the art team just did such a fantastic job, whether it's between the effects to the animations, which is just kind of mind-blowing that I'm almost, awestruck and at a loss for words, between the sound design. Each one of the different steps that he performs, whether it's destruction, bliss, or amplification.
That's a good ability.
He's got his ongoing dancing loop throughout. I mean, really just a kudos to all the teams involved, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit again later. But for the ability itself, 6 seconds of immunity, no extra movement speed, CC immunity specifically, and damage
2-3 by the way for her aggression.
And that is just
2-1 2-1.
It's incredible from every angle. It's hard for me to choose what I'm most excited to talk about with this, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. The Destroyer, a creator, amazing titles. God of Dance is unbelievably cool alongside all of that. Like, I don't know, just hearing that is for some reason that just really stands out to me as something that is super unique and super awesome. And watching that ultimate play out, even when somebody is destroying me with it in game post 9-2, I don't even think I'm going to be able to be mad. I'm going to be like, all right, well, I mean, it hurt, but that was really cool to look at.
It's a very high skill ultimate as well. I don't know if we really mentioned that. It looks like a big circle, so those tend to be easier to use, but between the positioning and the decision making and really min-maxing it, there is a lot to think about in this process, and it does make you vulnerable in many ways, right? It's got movement, it's got CC immunity and mitigations, but you're also stuck doing that effect for a while. So if you mistime it, you can really put yourself in a risky position.
Very, very true.
Yep. As soon as you start channeling that ultimate, if you get put into a bad spot, and because again, you're not gaining an extra movement ability. If the enemy just leaps away or uses their movement ability, you're gonna have to cancel out of that, wasting the cooldown and kind of try and catch up.
Dancing on somebody
Either way, I'm
and
excited
killing
for
them.
all of how compatible this ability looks like.
We got a new level of BM, dude.
I think it's gonna be cool.
You thought flossing on people in Smite was bad with Nike?
Do y'all want to get into
just
talking
gonna
about a little
dance,
bit of the playstyle, kind of
and
what
they're
you
just gonna
imagine,
pass
how you
out,
imagine
dude,
Shiva's
from how
gonna
good
fit
your
into the world
dance
of
moves
Smite.
are.
So we talked about a little bit earlier that he is a warrior. We're hoping that people give him a try in the soul lane, but between the different utility effects, he's probably going to find decent success as a guardian warrior as well in the dual lane, and I fully expect people to try and give him a good run for the money in the jungle role too.
For sure.
Yeah, I definitely expect to see some just some play in the support role, like with that duality of being a damage dealer, an enemy attacker, or
I'm gonna dance on the opposing mid laner.
The creation half. I think
they're
there's a
getting
lot of
danced on
flexibility
real
here,
hard,
depending on how you play it. Monitor
real hard.
which state you're
and also to keep in mind, we talked about how sort of Gaia could be pretty useful against Shiva. Another thing is if you build a little bit of anti-heal, as much as we hate to say it, or build into Cursed Ankh, or any of the Ankhs even. Of course, we've changed them up with the Relic upgrades. That kind of limits what Shiva can do with his ultimate. He kind of is forced into the destruction, because if he tries to use Bliss or Amplification, he's going to be healing himself and his team.
Forced into the damage stand. That's terrible.
Yeah, so it's crazy thing about a new character is there's all these new things you can do, and it's also a whole variety of different doors that are open for counterplay. I'm just excited to see this to happen. So let's move on. Let's look at some of these recolors, or some of the new skins, starting with Supreme Protector Shiva.
Oh my god, I don't think I've seen the card art for these, so I'm gonna just be kind of
I'm really broken up about it. Yeah.
I mean, big same, honestly. I absolutely love the colors. Always look so good to me.
Yeah, we're utilizing his Pillar of Fire pose here, which is just sweet. I love the meditation beads. So
very
cool.
nice classic recolor with the slightly different skin tone, but then the white tiger fur, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's right.
And like the green highlight. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I am a huge fan of the forearms. It's just that's just something I love. The more appendages, it makes animation a lot harder. I'm
Dandy,
sure.
Oh yeah, it does.
You keep all this
Our
information
animation
to
team is
yourself,
incredible, and
okay?
just another
What
huge
happens in
shout
your
out to them for
bedroom
making
stays in your
somebody
bedroom.
with,
I don't need to know
forearms
how
like
many
that
appendages,
have
okay?
such an elegant
That's
flow.
all you,
So
man.
here we're moving on to Ascended.
No
Shiva.
shame, but it's all you.
Yeah, and he's so much more aggressive in this one. He's just really, if you're facing this version of Shiva, you really want to back down.
Yeah.
And this one we did more texture to the skin. The ash that is actually associated with his yogi.
This skin is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did to
also
the texture of it, but it looks
these thematic
cool.
pieces of very important lore portrayed across these various skins too. And then we have the mastery.
It's like resplendent. I love it.
Absolutely, resplendent is a perfect word. Yes. Ooh.
Nice.
That is so awesome to look at.
I've never seen a blue tiger before.
It's a New Game Plus kind of thing,
Yeah, true. True. You haven't gone to Zoo Game Plus, I guess.
And there's a lot of lighting, importance of the lighting going on here, because I feel like just as we spin around him, you see a lot of that different detail change. So that's cool.
Yeah, that is super awesome.
These skins are highly, all of the Diamond Legendary Mastery, highly reflective.
Yeah. I just absolutely love it. I'm so excited for all of these. They all look super great. So
he looks mad fun.
Shiva. I mean, what more? There's so many good things.
He looks mad fun. To be fair,
oh, there it is.
That
nice.
kid
I was just like, wait,
looks
3, right?
fun to play. I don't know how fun it's gonna be to play against, but it looks fun to play.
Awesome. We would be doing
it looks real fun to play.
Voice line as well. So let's hear a voice line.
Of course.
I was there when it all began, and I will be here.
That's a good voice.
When it is all over.
That's actually a really good voice. It's not over the top.
That voice is just so powerful and calming.
That was good.
Yeah, we actually were able to get Harish Bithmani, who's the voice actor, who was, chat may not recognize that name at all, but he was a voice actor for the Mahabharata deity kind of show in, back in India. So it was great to be able to work with him.
That's amazing. Cool. Yeah, we've been spending a lot of extra effort and time on each of our gods to make sure we have voice actors that really symbolize and represent the culture of the god. And you actually see the Hindu gods show up in TV and movies quite commonly in India, right, Kunzi?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome to have an actor who's even familiar working amongst voice acting with other deities and figures like that. And he did an absolutely amazing job, and it sounds great. And man, there's just so much. I'm trying to just make sure we don't miss anything there. I know Clumsy has a few more things to add about this god because it's just such a special development cycle.
Imagine having for sure. It would be a lot of deodorant. You would go through twice as much deodorant for sure.
Shiva, that I actually have roots in Hinduism. In fact, I'm half Indian and I was a born Hindu. I was humbled and just excited at the prospect to work with Shiva, with the teams, and also just to be able to get the opportunity to talk to my family, to talk to my grandparents, my aunts and uncles about what Shiva and what Hinduism meant to them, and just getting those ideas for what Shiva could do into the game. But it's not just about me at all. It's about all the different teams and their passion that they got to bring into this game. So as usual, but for Shiva specifically, I want to thank the art teams, animation, effects, sound effects, 3D modeling, 2D concept in the UI, the rigging. They all were able to bring such a beauty into this game that I hope you guys are really excited. And I don't want to dismiss the programming teams who were able to work with all the different asks that we have of them.
Dance upon my enemies.
Great work. So gameplay, programming, tech art, and QA.
Probably
all of you guys, thank you so much. We are all very excited to bring Shiva, the first Hindu god since Ganesha in 2017, to Smite. And we loved working on him, and we hope you love playing him. So
and another shout out to our cultural consultant, Krishna Bova, who will be credited on the patch notes. She helped us throughout the entire process, looking at the earliest concepts of Shiva and what he looked like, what he was going to play like and sound like, and everything like that. And there's a lot of different information about this god out there, and there's even, as like Clumsy mentioned, there's lots of different thoughts even within Hinduism that are different about this character. So we really wanted to make sure we covered as much as we could and had as much guidance. So we had hired a consultant to help us to answer questions, to point us to more accurate source material, to make sure we were doing the research correctly, make sure we were interpreting things correctly, and make sure showing things correctly. So she was extremely pivotal to approving the various art stages and making sure we were moving along the right track. And so just big shout out to her, and as well
did a
as
great
the whole
job.
team who
Want to play him.
And I mean, it's just going to be the same thing that everybody else has been saying, but there has not been a single person throughout this entire process of when we learned that this is going to be a character in the game and moving forward. I have not spoken to a single person across every team that I have talked through, and I talk to a lot of people all the time. Everybody, every time a decision was being made, they're like, "Are we doing this respectfully? Is this going to? Are we showing that we care? That we're approaching this as seriously as we can?" And like, it was never a second thought for us. That was always at the forefront of our decision making. Was, are we respecting this culture? And I hope that we did a good job. I think we did. I'm super proud of our work, and we hope that y'all love it. So this has been the 9-2 Destroyer Update Show. So many great things to look forward to on February 22nd. Thank y'all for joining. PTS will be open later in the week. We'll just keep your eyes on Twitter. We'll update y'all on that so that y'all can get in and look at some of the stuff
Later in the week.
closer. So thank y'all so much. I am Titan.
No more accurate information than later in the week. Well, he looks like a bunch of fun to play. If not very strong. Obviously, he looks like he's intended to be a solo laner, but with that much CC and versatility in his kit, honestly, he looked like he could be solo lane. He looked like he could be jungle. He looked like he could be support. And I will be absolutely damned if I can't make him work in mid lane after how bad Atlas was on PTS in the mid lane. So Lord knows I am making him work in the mid lane, and I'm making him work there well. But thank you guys for coming out to the stream today. I do appreciate it. Big flexes for all of you guys that helped support cure rare disease.